On the night my elder sister died in a car accident, my deaf husband jumped off the rooftop. When I was sorting out his belongings, I found a diary. It was densely filled with Zhou Yu's admiration and secret love over the years. He wrote, "Jiao Jiao is the moon in my heart, with my filthy self. Even taking one more look at you is a sin. But fortunately, I married Fanqing, so I have the status to guard by your side. Jiao Jiao is my elder sister, and Fanqing is me." My heart ached dully. In the next second, I went back to the year when I was 18. This time, I would no longer save Zhou Yu, yet his eyes turned red, and his voice was full of grievance. "Are you going to abandon me too?" Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. My husband, who had been in love with me for 7 years, didn't love me. This was the secret I discovered in his diary after his death. Jiao Jiao is the moon that I can never reach. But I know very well that someone like me is simply not worthy of her. I looked into Jiao Jiao's eyes today. Although it was only for an instant, it made me really happy. I really want to be by her side forever. No, I can't be so greedy. On each page, my elder sister's name was written all over. From the age of 18 to 28, Zhou Yu's writing style developed from immature to mature, and his hidden love, like wild grass, grew wildly and uncontrollably. But over all these years, he said that the person he liked was me. The person who had always been by his side was also me. The person who was with him and eventually walked into the marriage hall was still me. My heart was stabbed sharply in an instant. Tears welled up uncontrollably and fell on the diary one by one, smudging the words. Whoosh! The wind blew in through the window and closed the thin cover. In a trance, I seemed to see Zhou Yu appearing in front of me, his slender fingers pressed against that diary. And he was angrily questioning me why I had touched his things. My face turned pale, and my lips trembled, but before I could speak, a blinding white light flashed before my eyes. "Jim Fanqing, you're as naggy as a housekeeper every day. It's really annoying." The milk splashed on me. The pain made me open my eyes suddenly, but when I saw Zhou Yu's unruly face, I couldn't help but be stunned. The familiar campus corridor, the blue and white school uniform. Was I back to the year when I was 18? At the age of 18, Zhou Yu lost his right ear's hearing due to an accident 2 years ago. Since then, he had become withdrawn and full of violence. He was like a hedgehog with thorns all over, refusing anyone to get close to him. Even if someone took one more look at him, he would think that person was either sympathizing with him or laughing at him. He would go crazy and smash all the things within his sight on the spot. As a result, he was expelled from many schools until he transferred to my school and became my desk mate. His mother blocked my way on my way home from school. The cold wind blew through the silver strands in her hair. Her eyes were red, and she held my hand tightly, begging me to take more care of Zhou Yu. I softened my heart and agreed to this mother's request. So the cut fruits prepared for him, the carefully prepared bento, and a bottle of milk every morning, all these should be given to me. And I would take them to him, after he threw them away again and again, and I faced his cold looks, his outbursts of anger, and his scolding again and again. I would perseveringly put them back into his hands, until later, his attitude towards me suddenly changed. I thought I had finally warmed his heart, unexpectedly. It was just because I was the younger sister of the school beauty, Jiang Jiao Jiao, and he liked her. "Why don't you say anything? Have you become a mute?" I looked up in response and bit my lip. I had known Zhou Yu for 10 years and been in love with him for 7 years. In the first 3 years, I had no dignity in front of him. In the following 7 years, I lived in the lies he wove for me and his utilization of me, thinking of my feelings for him and everything I had done for him. I suddenly laughed. "You're right," Zhou Yu frowned, not understanding what I meant, until I bent down and picked up the bottle of milk on the ground. His frown relaxed a bit, and he snorted, looking as if he had expected it. "Even if you pick it up, it's useless. I've said that I won't accept." Bang! I raised my hand and threw the milk into the trash bin. Zhou Yu's pupils trembled, and he was instantly stunned on the spot. What are you doing?" I ignored him and turned around to leave. There was only one thought left in my mind: stay away from him, the farther, the better. As soon as the first class ended, I rushed to the office and applied to the head teacher to change my seat. When I came back, Joyu, who had always been idle and didn't even want to bring a pen during exams, was burying his head in writing something, and he was writing very seriously. I glanced at it. It was that diary. My heart skipped a beat. So his secret love for Jiang Jiaojiao had been there for such a long time, and every stroke he wrote seemed to be carefully depicting his sincere feelings. Thinking of his scrawly handwriting on ordinary days, it turned out that his handwriting could also be so beautiful. When he finally noticed my presence, Joyu hurriedly closed the diary and put it into the desk drawer. The tenderness and care in his eyes just now were completely gone, replaced by disdain and arrogance. Have you finished throwing a tantrum? You still know to come back, he started with a sarcastic remark. He thought that I had disappeared right after class because I was avoiding him. Then, he crossed his legs, apologized to me, and I'll forgive you for throwing away the milk my mother gave me without permission, in front of Joyu. Apologizing had long become a habit for me, but this time, I chose to refuse. Joyu, I don't owe you anything, and I never have, he laughed, looking very indifferent. After all, he would turn a deaf ear to whatever I said, every time before. When I was pushed to the limit by him, I would say things like, I won't care about you anymore, but as long as he deliberately showed the hearing aid in his right ear and that pitiful expression, I couldn't help but soften my heart. Going around in circles, I would still come back to him. In the eyes of others, I was like a dog that couldn't be chased away no matter how hard they tried. So this time, Joyu's eyes were still full of confidence, until I packed all my things clean. The confident light in his eyes suddenly dimmed, and he realized that something was wrong. Jiang Fanqing, what are you going to do? Change my seat. The head teacher has already agreed. In an instant, Joyu's face changed. Jiang Fanqing, you've grown bold. No matter who the hell agrees, it's useless. You're not allowed to change. I said no, and that's final. He rushed forward to grab my school bag. I was so scared that I quickly protected my things. What are you doing? Are you crazy? Joyu gritted his teeth, and his eyes suddenly turned red. Do you really want to change? I nodded firmly. Yes. The moment the words fell, with a loud bang, Joyu kicked over the desk in front of him. The things on the desk also fell down with a clatter, and I was so scared that my legs went weak, and I almost fell to the ground. I knew it. You never wanted to be my deskmate from the very beginning. It's all false affection. Just because I'm deaf in one ear, you're just sympathizing with me and pitying me. Now you can't pretend anymore. Can you? Get out. Get the hell out of here. Go away. He was like a wild beast out of control, with a scarlet color in his eyes. The surrounding classmates were so scared that they all fell silent and didn't even dare to breathe loudly. Some students with quick legs secretly ran to find the teacher, and I hugged my school bag and quickly fled under Joyu's murderous gaze. Seeing that I had really left, Joyu's face turned even darker. The temperature in the classroom dropped to the freezing point. I sat in the new seat, my heart still pounding like a drum, and I didn't dare to look back at Joyu at all. At this moment, a hand with distinct knuckles came into my sight. Hello, new deskmate. Please take care of me in the future. I turned my head sideways following that deep voice, and I was stunned to see a cold and clear face. Guqing, the top student, my new deskmate. That Guqing who was famous in school for his excellent grades, but had a bad temper and was fierce in fights. Guqing, who had a white phosphorus-like personality and would explode at the slightest provocation. Why you, hello, please take care of me. I stretched up my hand timidly and shook his hand carefully as a response. Seeing this, Guqing raised his eyebrows slightly. He was clearly smiling, but his expression was a bit cold. Classmate Jiang, am I that scary? Me, didn't he look scary? TVT. At this moment, a chill suddenly ran down my spine. It seemed that something was staring at me intently behind my back. But fortunately, this terrifying feeling dissipated after the class bell rang. This was a math class. When I took out my test paper with a score of 37 points, Gu Qing's test paper, which was close to full marks, was placed on the desk ostentatiously. I blocked the score written in red pen with my pencil case, feeling extremely embarrassed. As more and more writing appeared on the blackboard, it was like reading a book from heaven to me. My thoughts drifted away, and the scene in front of my eyes became more and more blurred. My head tilted, and in a drowsy state, I suddenly bumped into Gu Qing's shoulder. I woke up instantly. Sorry. I put my hands together and apologized to Gu Qing in the softest voice, feeling extremely flustered inside. Fortunately, he didn't care. He even promised me that if I had any questions I didn't understand, I could come to him at any time. I blinked my eyes, my face full of gratitude. Really? He nodded. Really? So when I took out the wrong question notebook that was piled higher than a small hill, he fell silent all of a sudden. After a while, he asked with some embarrassment, "Classmate Jiang, have you really been studying?" I felt even more embarrassed. My grades were just average originally, and because I had to take care of Zhou, I spent most of my time on him. In my previous life, I barely managed to get into an undergraduate university, and Zhou, he clearly scored more than 100 points higher than me and could have gone to a better school. But he insisted on filling out the application for the same school as me. He said it was because he didn't want to leave me alone there. I was so touched at that time, but I completely ignored the fact that the 985 university my elder sister was admitted to is right next to our school. Do you have time on the weekend? If you do, I can give you tutoring privately. These words made me overjoyed immediately. I nodded like a chick pecking at rice, afraid that Gu Qing would go back on his word the next second, but I still hesitated for a moment. However, "Won't that delay your study progress, Gu Qing?" "No, I had already finished learning these knowledge points in the first year of senior high school." Me, okay. This is a dimensionality reduction blow from a top student. Me, then what about the tutoring fee? Gu Qing, you don't need to pay either. Me, then what do you want? Gu Qing, I want. He suddenly looked at me, and a smile tugged at the corners of his long and narrow eyes. I haven't thought of it yet, me. He propped his chin with one hand, and with the other hand, his fingertips nimbly twirled the ballpoint pen. Mainly, I really can't stand having someone who is often in my sight being too stupid and having poor grades in study. I fell silent again. May I ask, is this the unique obsessive-compulsive disorder of top students? However, if I help you with tutoring, you should at least take care of my meals, right? So Gu Qing and I hit it off. He would help me with tutoring, and I would take care of his meals. The next day, on the way I tipped to school as usual, Zhou mother was standing in the cold wind waiting for me. The clothes on her were thin, and the fabric flapped in the wind. Her face was blue from the cold, and her hand holding the bag was also red from the cold, and I knew exactly what was in the bag. It was a bento specially prepared for Zhou, who didn't like the food in the cafeteria. It was the fruit specially cut for him and a bottle of milk that was a regular item every morning, but this time, when she smiled and handed them to me, I didn't take them. I pursed my lips and said the words that had been turning over in my mind all night. "I'm sorry, Auntie. I won't send things to Zhou anymore in the future." The smile on Mother Zhou's face froze instantly, but then she seemed to think of something, and her expression softened. "Must be that child you threw the things away again and made you angry, right? Don't take it too much to heart. He actually wants to accept them. It's just that since that incident happened, his personality has become extremely stubborn. As long as you keep sending them, he will definitely accept them. Don't worry." As she said this, she tried to stuff the things into my hands again, but I dodged them subtly. "Auntie, I really don't have time to take care of him. I also need to study and do my homework. Moreover, isn't it more convenient for you to give these things to him before he goes out?" Mother Joe's eyes immediately welled up with tears, and she was about to kneel on the ground while crying. "Just think of it as me begging you. Okay, I really have no other choice. If possible, I'd rather it was me who had the car accident instead of my son. I'm begging you, please help me. I'll kneel down for you." "Okay, please." I was horrified. I quickly grabbed Mother Joe's arm, but I still couldn't stop her from kneeling straight down to the ground. "Jiang Fanqing, what the hell are you doing?" I was pushed aside forcefully and fell to the ground unexpectedly. My palm was scratched by the small stones on the ground, leaving long blood marks. I couldn't help but gasp, and tears welled up in my eyes nonstop. It hurt. When I looked up again, Joe Yu had already protectively stood his mother behind him. Fuming with anger, he glared at me coldly and hurled the most vulgar words at me. A great sense of grievance welled up like a tide, enveloping me tightly. My heart felt as if it had been torn open, and countless cold winds kept blowing in. The oppression made it almost impossible for me to breathe. I wanted to defend myself, but I couldn't say a word. In the end, it all turned into tears, falling one by one. She didn't bully me. I was the one begging her. Mother Joe took the initiative to defend me, but Joe snapped back at her. "Shut up. Can't I see for myself whether she bullied you or not? Why are you begging her? She looks down on me for being deaf and can't wait to stay as far away from me as possible. She even changed her seat and doesn't want to be my deskmate anymore. How can you still have the nerve to beg her? Then don't come to her. Don't pester her." A familiar voice reached my ears. The next second, Guqing walked up from behind me. He put one hand in his pocket, slung his backpack diagonally over one shoulder, and walked slowly. He stopped in front of me and smiled faintly. "Stop looking. I'm talking about you two, a family of shameless bloodsuckers." My heart jolted, and I raised my head. For a moment, I even forgot to cry. Guqing first looked at Mother Zhou. You can't even manage your own son, yet you expect someone else to take care of him." This is the first time I've seen someone so eager to find a new mother for their son. "What's the matter? Can't you afford warm clothes at home? Why do you have to stand in the cold wind to wait for someone? Isn't there any place around here to shelter from the wind? Who are you trying to show this pitiful look to? You're just taking advantage of our classmate Zhang's soft heart." Then he looked at Zhou Yu. "Yo, so you know how to feel sorry for your mother now. What were you doing when you threw away your mother's bento, fruits, and milk? Me, why do I always feel that the last sentence is a bit dirty? And you?" Guqing suddenly turned around and looked at me, scaring me so much that I jumped. I looked at him with tearful eyes, and the tears still hanging at the corners of my eyes kept falling. Guqing fell silent for a moment. "Forget it. I'm too lazy to scold you." Zhou still wanted to retort, but as more and more passers-by gathered to watch, and some even raised their phones to record, he glared at us and then left in a hurry with Mother Zhou. After that, I thanked Guqing. He frowned. "Hey, they've gone far away. Can you stop crying?" "Okay." I sniffled. The wind blew, and my cheeks felt cold. I didn't want to cry either, but I have a condition where I can't control my tears. When my emotions fluctuate greatly, I can't say anything. My body will tremble uncontrollably, and I can only keep crying if you shed one more tear. I'll punish you to write the formulas 100 times. I bit my lip hard, my eyes turning red from the effort of holding back, and my vision blurred with tears. Guqing said seriously, "Write them from memory." So, my eyes became even redder. "Guqing, write them backwards from memory." Me, Guqing is such a bad guy. Then he took out the keys and pressed the remote control of the small electric scooter parked by the roadside twice with a beep beep. "Get on, huh?" I didn't react at once. By then, he had already thrown his school bag into the basket of the scooter. "What are you high-ing for? We're going to be late for school. Do you plan to walk there by yourself?" I ran over immediately. "Thank you so much." Guqing curled his lips. "If you can get 2 more questions right and make me less angry, it'll be more useful than saying thank you 100 times. Okay. As soon as I sat on the back seat, The small electric scooter whooshed and shot forward. I suddenly bumped into Gu Qing's back, and my nose stung. South close. I almost shed tears again. Slow down, Tisk. You're so fussy. Although he said that, he still slowed down. However, I looked at the time. Well, you'd better hurry up. Forget it. Just go at your own pace. I'm not urging you, though, Gu Qing. Maybe it was because the weather was too cold. And the wind was even stronger when riding the small electric scooter. I looked up and found that the tips of his ears were all red from the cold. Gu Qing tutored me for a month, and I covered his meals in the school cafeteria for a whole month. Soon, the second monthly exam came. Compared with my last exam results, I advanced more than 100 places in the school ranking. In the cafeteria, I sat opposite Gu Qing, holding the test paper, feeling extremely delighted. Gu Qing. Aren't you going to praise me? I've made progress. Gu Qing, who had been burying his head in his meal, didn't even look up. Yeah, choo, not bad. Choo, you've made great progress. Choo, but choo, you still have a lot more room for improvement. Choo, me. I could tell that he was really hungry. I propped my chin with one hand. By the way, is there no one at home to cook for you, actually? The food in the cafeteria tasted just so few students came to eat here. Even now, there were only a few people scattered in the whole cafeteria. Slap. Gu Qing suddenly put down his chopsticks, picked up the empty plate, and stood up. I'm full. I'm going back to the classroom first. My heart skipped a beat, and I opened my mouth. But before I could say anything, he had already left. Strange. Did I offend him again? In the evening, when I got home, my parents had prepared a sumptuous dinner. All the dishes were my elder sister's favorites, and they kept putting food into her bowl, because this time, she had ranked second in the whole school again, just behind Gu Qing. Our Jiao really brings honor to us. Keep up this good work, and you'll definitely be able to get into Tsinghua University or Peking University in the college entrance examination. Then, you can take your admission notice to the gravesite and let our ancestors see how promising my daughter, Jiang Beihuai's daughter, is. Old Jiang, you know what? That annoying colleague of mine, her son goes to the same school as our daughter and is in the same grade. I've disliked her for a long time. Do you know how much her son scored in this exam? Oh, when I tell you the score, it'll make you laugh out loud. After she learned about our daughter's score, she was so angry that she didn't say a word and just turned around and left. Haha, it was clearly a dinner for 4 people, but I was the only one who was completely ignored. I really wanted to say something. I wanted to tell them that I had made a lot of progress this time, but I couldn't get a word in. I was just eager and waiting for a chance, until my mother finally noticed me. What's wrong with you again? I excitedly said the words that I had rehearsed in my heart hundreds of times, hoping that they could praise me just once. Even just one word would be fine. But my parents' faces instantly turned cold. With such a shameful score, you still have the nerve to mention it. In an instant, my smile froze on my face. It was like a basin of cold water being poured over my head. It drenched me from head to toe, making me feel completely cold. A crack appeared in my heart, and the coldness seemed to have thorns, constantly piercing inward. Why are you making such a gloomy face? Did I say something wrong? All right, hurry up and eat. After that, go back to your room quickly. We don't want your elder sister to be affected by your bad luck. What if her grades drop next time? As she said this, she surprisingly took the initiative to put a shrimp into my bowl. I held the chopsticks and stared at the shrimp in the bowl, but I felt as if something was stuck in my throat. Mom, it's my elder sister who likes to eat shrimp, and I've been allergic to seafood since I was a child. Sitting at the desk, a small desk lamp almost illuminated my entire room. It was called a room, but actually, at first, it was just a storage room. My elder sister's name is Jiang Jiao, the Jiao in bright moonlight. My name is Jiang Fanqing, and the stars are destined to embellish the moon. We are twin sisters, but I was born ordinary. I'm slow at learning things, and I have a poor ability to accept new things. My grades are average. And my appearance is also average. My elder sister is different. She's smart and can understand everything with just a little explanation, and she's beautiful. When we were young, we used to live in the same room. We did our homework together, played together, and listened to the same bedtime story while hugging the same teddy bear. But after primary school, our parents separated us. They said I was stupid. I couldn't understand anything. Staying too close to my elder sister would affect her studies. After junior high school, we moved to a new house. It was when I came home from school that day and saw the old house empty until evening. I cried and knocked on the doors of all the neighbors before I learned about it. I followed the new address given by the neighbor aunt and found that they had already gone to bed. It was only when I appeared that my parents suddenly remembered something. The new house was much bigger than the old one. It was more than 100 square meters, with 2 bedrooms and 1 living room, but there was no place for me. So they had to tidy up the storage room. So there was a bed, a desk, and a desk lamp in this family, only they accompanied me silently from when I was 13 years old to when I was 18 years old. Knock, knock, knock. The door suddenly knocked, pulling my thoughts back. When I opened the door and saw my elder sister standing at the door, I couldn't help but be stunned. There's some leftover food from dinner. It'll go bad if we keep it until tomorrow. So here you are. There was a bowl of rice with a lot of dishes on top, the lean meat in the braised pork, the potatoes in the shrimp and potato stir-fry. She had reluctantly picked out the dishes that suited my taste from the ones that were to her liking. She stuffed the bowl into my arms and turned around in a hurry, but I called out to her, "Sister." She stopped in her tracks but didn't turn around to look at me. I pursed my lips and looked at her from behind. "Have you always looked down on having me as a sister?" She didn't say anything and went straight back to her room. She closed the door of her room in front of me. It was pitch black. Only a little bit of scattered light came from my room behind me. "Jiang Fanqing, are you going to take care of dinner today?" Back in the room, I picked up my phone. It had been more than 10 minutes since I saw the message Guqing sent me. "Have you eaten yet?" He almost replied instantly, "No." I looked down at the bowl of rice in my hand and then at the newly issued test paper. There were at least 3 big questions that I had no clue about. Then teach me to do today's homework. Guqing, okay, then. He sent me a location. It was a very old residential building. I followed the address and found Guqing's home. The door was wide open and not locked. Before I even entered the door, I was stunned by the scene in front of me. The walls were damp and moldy, and a lot of the blackened wall paint had peeled off. The chandelier hung swaying from the ceiling, making a creak sound, as if it was going to fall down the next second, and the room was in a complete mess. It seemed that there had been a fierce quarrel before. All the things were scattered on the floor, and there were broken glass shards everywhere under my feet. Guqing casually picked up the cardboard box standing by the wall, tore it into pieces, and spread them on the floor. "Come in." I looked around. "Guqing, stop looking. I'm the only one at home. There's no one else." "Oh." I handed him the packed lunchbox. I also brought a pair of disposable chopsticks that I hadn't used before. Guqing took it and opened it all at once. He wolfed down the food in just a few bites. "Where's the homework?" He glanced at me. I nervously took out the test paper from my pocket and handed it to him. "Guqing, there's no other place to sit in my home. Just make do with this, okay?" I hesitated several times and finally nodded. "It's okay." We sat on the cardboard like that. For the 3 big questions, he used the most concise methods, but it still took me 2 hours to finally fully understand. The moment I calculated the final answer, I felt an overwhelming sense of accomplishment. Every step was written extremely beautifully under Guqing's guidance. I really hope that I can write this perfectly by myself in the next exam. I couldn't help but sigh with emotion. "You will." I've said that there are still more than 3 months until the college entrance examination, and you have a lot of room for improvement. Guqing smiled. He took out a bottle of orange juice from somewhere and handed it to me. He also held a bottle in his own hand. He sat down beside me, unscrewed the cap, and took a big gulp. "When I first started tutoring you, I asked you what university you wanted to attend, and you said you hadn't decided yet, so what about now? Do you have a goal? As he spoke, he tilted his head and looked at me. I thought for a while and said, University A in our province. If I work hard, I might be able to strive for it. It was a first-class university. In the next 2 months, as long as I keep making progress, I think I have a good chance. What about you, Gucheng? I want to go to University N. It was a top 985 university in the country, although it was also in the south. It wasn't close to where we were. I just want to get into a university far away. I want to leave this place, leave this home. Oh, to be more precise, this isn't really a home at all. He had a father who was an alcoholic and a gambler, a mother who was extremely infatuated with love, and a broken self. Others might be joking around, but for Gucheng, it was the truth. When I was very young, our family of 3 was actually very happy until that year. My father fell from the construction site while working and broke a leg. He took the compensation money and went home. Because he was afraid of facing the strange look of others, he never went out to look for a job again. He started drinking heavily and even got addicted to gambling. Before long, the compensation money was all spent. We moved from a big house to a small one, and now to this shabby house. All the financial support of the family depends on my mother. Fortunately, I have good grades. I finished learning the later courses in advance and used the freed up time to do part-time jobs. I felt sorry for my mother because every time she earned money, my father would snatch it away, so I gave all the money I earned from part-time jobs to her and asked her to hide it secretly. But from which day did I stop giving her the money? It was when I found out that she actually gave all the money to my father, and what's more, she gave it to him voluntarily. I couldn't understand it, let alone comprehend it. I questioned her why she did that, but she just smiled, with her face full of those unrealistic illusions about love. She told me that my father wasn't like this before and used to treat her very well. She would always stay by his side and help him through the difficulties. After getting through this, they would be as loving as before. She even thought that she was partly responsible for my father's change, because she couldn't earn more money and couldn't give him more of the things he wanted. At this point, Gucheng let out a scornful laugh. It's really ridiculous, isn't it? I didn't answer. I just felt a tightness in my chest and was very sad. Everyone has their own sufferings. Others can't see them, but their sufferings weren't caused by me. My sufferings were caused by them. So I want to leave this place, and I even plan to completely cut off contact with them after I leave. Classmate Jiang, it's the same for you. He looked into my eyes, and his black pupils were shining. Zhou sufferings weren't caused by you, no matter how much his mother begs you. The fact that you're willing to help him shows that you have a kind heart and are a good person, but this isn't something you have to do. There's no need to torture yourself. Understand? I nodded and let out a soft Before I left, Gucheng told me to remember to live for myself. I walked out of that old and shabby residential area and returned to my small room. I looked up and out the window. The moonlight was beautiful tonight. The moonlight was bright, and the stars were also shining brightly, so I wrote down my new wish on a piece of paper. Little fish, swim quickly. Freedom is all around. Then I folded the paper into a star and put it in a glass jar. The countdown on the wall made everyone cherish every second. My life was a 2.1-line routine, going to class, doing practice questions, and having meals. I asked Gucheng to help me with tutoring to find and fill in the gaps in my knowledge. I even forgot about the existence of Zhou until during the big break that day. He blocked me at the classroom door with red eyes. Why haven't you talked to me on your own initiative these days? Could it be that you're also going to abandon me? His voice was full of grievance, and I, who had just solved a big question, with a messy hair like a chicken coop that I hadn't washed for 5 days and my brain almost overheating from all the thinking. Then, Zhou handed me a bottle of milk. I misunderstood you that day. Consider this as my compensation to you. Please stop being angry. Okay, me. It took me a long time to remember what it was about. I had already forgotten it completely. Why did he still remember it? Sorry. I'm lactose intolerant. You can drink it yourself. I refused. I was just about to bypass Joyu and go out. But unexpectedly, he got angry on the spot. Come on, I've already given you a way out like this. Are you still going to be difficult with me, Jian Fanqing? Are you ever going to stop? I was speechless, facing his sudden change in attitude. I seemed to understand why. First of all, I'm not being difficult with you. Secondly, if the person you have a crush on is Jiang Jiao, please go to her directly. Our relationship isn't good, so it's no use coming to me. Zhou Yu's face froze. How do you know about this? But the next second, his expression turned into one of surprise and joy. So you've been ignoring me these days because you're jealous. Me. I originally wanted to ask you if you had solved that question, but it seems that you have a bigger problem to deal with now. Gu Qing walked into the classroom with his long legs, looking like he didn't mind adding fuel to the fire. I made a bitter face. Stop watching the show and help me out, will you? He's being so proactive in giving it to you, so you might as well take it. It's just a bottle of milk. As he said this, he stuffed the bottle of milk in Zhou Yu's hand into mine. Since he gave it to you, it's your thing now, right? He winked at Zhou Yu and asked with a smile. Zhou Yu was taken aback but still nodded. So the next second, Gu Qing smiled and threw the milk in my hand into the trash can. Bang! Zhou Yu finally reacted and became very emotional. What are you doing? My palm felt cold, and there was a bottle of orange juice in it. Gu Qing had just stuffed it into my hand. He replied with a smile. Since it's her thing, she can deal with it as she likes. Then, his face instantly turned cold. Classmate Jiang said she doesn't like it. Can't you understand what I'm saying? Oh, right. She likes drinking orange juice now. Zhou Yu quickly picked the bottle of milk out of the trash can, looking very embarrassed. His hands were stained with a lot of dirty things, and there was even a strange smell. He was so angry with Gu Qing that he almost cried. I'll fight you, fight me. Before he could finish his sentence, he was interrupted by Gu Qing. That's great. The knuckles of his clenched fists cracked. Have I ever told you that I'm good at studying and even better at fighting? Zhou Yu panicked. He instinctively took a few steps back. Of course, he knew Gu Qing was famous for being reckless when fighting. He would rather cause a lot of damage to himself while dealing a heavy blow to the enemy. But if he hadn't fought like that, he might have been almost beaten to death by his alcoholic father long ago. Zhou Yu backed down. He said a harsh word and then turned around and ran away. Gu Qing turned to look at me. I thought he was going to say something about Zhou Yu, but when he opened his mouth, he said, So what's the answer you calculated for that question? Me, 17 times the square root of 2. He clicked his tongue. Are you sure? This time, I nodded without hesitation. I'm sure and certain. He smiled and patted me on the shoulder. Not bad, not bad. You've finally learned to be firm in your own thoughts. I couldn't help but roll my eyes at him. How dare he say that? At first, every time I finally calculated an answer and excitedly told him, he would always look serious and ask me, Really? Are you really sure? So I would fall into self-doubt and keep changing the answer. When I got a different result, he would tell me that the answer I calculated at first was correct. But now, I've learned, I must be confident in my own answers. No matter what others say, I mustn't waver. Gu Qing, you see, learning to follow your heart is also a great progress for you, right? I deliberately teased. Oh, in that case, I should thank you, right? Gu Qing, no need. Just buy me 2 more pig elbows for lunch today. Me, 2, Gu Qing. 3 is also okay. Me, come on. This guy is really just starving. After I went back, the messages from Zhou Yu kept ringing nonstop. I only replied with one sentence. I told him that I was only focused on studying now and asked him not to bother me. Zhou Yu, so you've been ignoring me these days just because you want to study. What about after the exam? Will you talk to me then? I heard that your target university is University A. What a coincidence. I also want to go to University A. Don't care about the thing regarding your sister. I don't like her anymore. I found him extremely annoying, so I blocked him immediately, but since that day, Joey actually really became quiet. I was glad to have some peace and buried myself in a sea of questions every day. On the last day of the college entrance examination, when I came out of the examination room, I looked up at the sky. The sun was shining brightly, and I finally removed all the burdens on my body and felt much more relaxed. The examinees around me passed by and ran into the arms of their parents. Some parents were holding flowers, some were wearing cheongsams, and some were even holding banners, celebrating excitedly. I was alone and walked into the crowd, Jiang Fanqing. Suddenly, someone shouted my name. I stopped in my tracks and looked up sharply. It was Gu Cheng. He was holding a bouquet of flowers in his hand and came straight towards me. Here, I just bought them. I saw that everyone else had flowers, so I bought a bunch too. Finally, the exam is over. Are you happy? I looked at the bouquet of flowers, and my eyes somehow became moist. When did you come out, and you still had time to buy these? Gu Cheng, the questions this year were quite easy. I handed in my paper 20 minutes in advance. It's a pity that I could only hand it in 20 minutes early. Thinking of myself scratching my head and struggling with the test paper in the examination room, I shouldn't have asked him. But, thank you, Gu Cheng. Let's go. Today, I'll treat you to hot pot. That hot pot meal was steaming hot, and my heart felt warm too. It seemed that I hadn't been that happy for a long time. When the results came out, I actually performed beyond my usual level. I not only scored far above the first-class university admission line, but with this score, I could definitely apply for a good double first-class university. I told Gu Cheng this news as soon as possible. He was also happy for me, and his score was high enough to be admitted to the top major of University N. Gu Cheng, what about you, with this score? You should no longer consider University A, right? I nodded. Yeah, I want to go to the north. I heard that the snow in Bincheng is very beautiful. Gu Cheng, I want to go there and take a look. Gu Cheng was taken aback for a moment. Bincheng was almost 2,000 kilometers away from Nanjing, where University N was located. But then, he smiled at me. That's great. You can have your own ideas and a place you really want to go. Classmate Jiang, I'm really happy for you. That night, I received a verification message from Zhouyi's alternate account. His score was a bit higher than in the previous life, but he didn't know my score yet. Fanqing, on the day of the start of the semester, I have a surprise for you. Just wait. It will definitely surprise you. I thought he was crazy. I blocked his alternate account as well. On the day the admission results came out, Gu Cheng went to University N as he wished. And I also went to University H in Bincheng as I had hoped. But to my surprise, my elder sister, Jiang Jiaojiao, my parents had always asked her to apply for a 985 university in our province because it was close, and it would be convenient for her to go home on weekends and for them to visit her. Moreover, studying in our province would give her an advantage in finding a job here. My elder sister had always agreed. She filled in the volunteer as they wanted in front of my parents. They were very happy, and the banquet was almost ready. But she secretly changed her volunteer. My parents were furious. It was the first time I saw them lose their temper with my excellent elder sister. It was also the first time I saw my elder sister, who had always been a well-behaved girl, quarrel with them so fiercely. Over the years, in the eyes of my parents, she might have just been an excellent exhibit. Everything she got could only be based on her good grades. Now, she just wanted to go to the place she really wanted to go and study the major she really wanted to study. In a fit of anger, my parents drove her out of the house. When she was walking on the street, she happened to run into me. She looked at me and smiled bitterly. Fanqing, you know, sometimes I really envy you. You're not restricted and are free. I looked at my elder sister, feeling mixed emotions in my heart. But I also envy you. You're so dazzling and cherished by others. By my elder sister's side, I've always been the inferior contrast. Just like that, we looked at each other and remained silent for a long time. Finally, we hugged each other and burst into tears. That night, neither of us went home. Instead, we booked a hotel and ordered a lot of takeout. Just like when we were children, we frolicked, chatted, and ate in the same room. The last time we had such a scene was many, many years ago. It had been so long that both of us felt in a trance. The other day you asked me if I also disliked having you as a sister. Actually, I've never had such a thought. She lowered her eyes, and a hint of sadness showed in her beautiful eyes. When did I finally realize that I had to stay away from you? Maybe it was the day when I suddenly found that everyone around me was praising me, but my younger sister was in a corner where no one paid attention. Trying hard to maintain a flattering smile and attempting to please everyone, I wanted to do something for you, but I found that, apart from staying away from you and concealing our sister relationship outside, I seem to be able to do nothing. Mom and Dad are always used to belittling you to praise me. You know, a long time ago, I had a dream. I dreamed that after you graduated from university, you married a person named Zhou. I thought you had finally found your own happiness. Until I accidentally discovered that the person he liked had always been me. He got close to you and married you because of me. I know that it's Mom and Dad's comparison and vanity that made you suffer these hardships since childhood, but I'm also to blame. I'm an indirect culprit. So at that moment, I felt even more guilty. I thought, how great it would be if I didn't exist. Maybe God heard my voice. When a runaway truck rushed towards a child, I pushed him away in time. Originally, in that dream, I wanted to end my own life, but unexpectedly, I saved a life. As my elder sister spoke, she smiled, but as I listened, I cried. On the day we went to school, we parted at the station. I sent my elder sister onto the train first. After that, Guqing watched me leave. The three vehicles drove in different directions, and we began a new stage of our lives. Zhou went to university. On the day he reported to the school, he prepared a grand confession ceremony at the school gate. But he didn't wait for me. He only waited to be criticized and announced throughout the school. He entered that school with a score 150 points higher than the admission line. This alone was already incredible. Now, he was even more famous in the school. Wherever he went, he would encounter strange looks and whispers from others. That night, he added me with his secondary alternate account. He cried and asked me where I had gone. We had agreed to apply for University A. So why was he the only one who went there now? I twitched the corners of my mouth and blocked him again. I even pulled out the phone card and got a new number. The new semester was very busy. However, Guqing and I still kept in touch. He had a strong desire to share. Even if he saw some flowers and plants by the roadside, he would take pictures and show them to me. My heart ached suddenly. Okay. But by the time the final exams were over, it was already winter. The snow in Binching was indeed beautiful. It was thick and glistening. It was the first time I had seen snow. I was so excited that I took a lot of photos and sent them to Guqing. Guqing, I finally waited for the day it snows. Isn't it beautiful? Guqing on the other end of the phone responded, yeah, it's really beautiful. I smiled and kicked the snow on the ground with my toes. You sound so sincere. As if you've seen it with your own eyes. Guqing. How about you turn around and take a look? A voice came from both the phone and behind me at the same time. My heart tightened, and I turned around abruptly. Guqing was actually standing behind me. Surprise! Are you happy? Oh, right. I specially brought you some specialties from my place. Didn't you keep saying you wanted to try them before? My nose stung. This time, it was me who rushed towards him. The end.